Hello everyone, it's Nootan Deep and welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to share some of my experiences to learn English. What does it feel when you hear this word? Do you feel like having fear when you listen this English word, or do you feel like confident to respond or replying anything in English? What does it feel when you start speaking anything in English, and before starting saying anything in English, how does it feel? So, here I want to explain some of feelings, some sort of feelings before talking anything in English or saying or responding anything in English. So, earlier I felt like so much fear. I felt like having so much fear to respond anything in English or before starting a conversation in English. I didn't have that much confidence to talk in English. All the time I feel like confused, also scaring, thinking that I have to respond in English. And whenever I being asked anything in English, I would get freeze. I would get stuck also, and sometimes I would prefer keep mum. That's how I would strive hard to escape from such situation in which I would having to talk in English. So each and every time I used to do such things to get away from such situation in which I have to talk in English, or I would having to talk in English. I feel like so much hesitating, so much stumbling when it comes to respond anything in English. I didn't have that guts, that courage to initiate a conversation in English, or uh, I just I would just get myself far away from such situation in which I have to use some English sentences or I have to respond anything in English. So maximum time I make myself filled with fear, and that time I think that scenario I didn't have the access to the resources, because nowadays there are lots of resources to learn English, to explore in English, to put your thoughts in English. We can access to any sort of information from YouTube or any other social platforms. So we are uh, very much accustomed to it nowadays, and this sort of things was not that scenario that back time when I was doing my schooling and when I was in my college. So the thing was, I was telling to you that as soon as anyone asked me something in English, I would go stuck and I would start trembling with fear. It filled my mind with the fear, with the so negativity, and I get myself filled with such negativity and different sort of feelings like fear, repentance, regret, or insulting also. I kept on cursing myself of not having been to a convent school, or not having been a good student maybe. I kept on thinking about that I didn't have a good teacher who would take me to the right path to learn English. And I used to curse myself that why can't I respond or talk in English? Many people can interact in English, but I couldn't do this. What should I do? Nobody was there to help me that time to choose a right path to learn English. So many a times I feel like regretting, feel like repentance. Sometimes I get myself filled with the guilty, because when somebody would ask me something in English, and out of fear I feel like I'm not understanding it, and sometimes I couldn't understand. And if I'm not understanding anything, how would I respond? So this was also the fear in my mind, that how would I respond if I'm not getting the exact point, the exact language in an exact way? How would I respond? That makes me feel so much embarrassed. No one told me that you should do this, you should listen more to improve your spoken English, to enhance your speaking skills. No one told me to speak out your thoughts in English, whether if I'm using the translation from my mother tongue into English. No one told me this. It has been a very difficult time for me, and to take a right path, to take that decision, to take a right path to reach my goal. There was no one to help me out and to make me choose the right path. I used to feel embarrassed of not having the guts or courage to initiate a conversation in English. I was so much, I used to be in so much stress and cursing myself of not having a good command over English language. Had anyone guided me to the right path of learning English and having a good command over English language, I would have learned it. I would have excelled it in this language years and years ago, but I was having no one at that time. Back then, I want to just tell you this, that I chose this, I discovered this thing, this way of learning English and having a command over English language. At least I'm having the hold over this English language right now. I can put my thoughts in English, maybe through this camera to you. That's sufficient for me. At least I am being able to do this. I made this way. I put efforts to learn English, to speak English, to put out my thoughts in English in front of the camera. So it matters. For me, it matters a lot. Now I am having the courage. Sometimes I repeat some words. Sometimes I go stuck while talking in English, while putting out my thoughts in English. Sometimes I make mistakes. It's okay. For me, it's okay. At least I'm having the command over English language. At least I'm having the guts, the courage. So I appreciate my courage. At least I'm being able to talk in front of you. I can put my views, my opinion, and share my experience of learning English to you in English. That matters. For me, it matters a lot. So if I can do, you can also do this. You can also apply the same way, whether you are confronting or facing lots of issue while learning English. That doesn't matter. if you are having the determination, the willingness, nothing else you want, and you can achieve your goal of reaching that command over English language very soon if you have the willingness. That's important. So that's all for today. Stay tuned. Thank you.